Hello and welcome to FTB Sports. This is the post-reaction show for the game Spurs versus Brentford semi-final of the EFL Carabao Cup. Whatever you want to call it, Spurs won. I am joined on today by usual guests Mike, Darius, and we have Nigel in the house as well. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you all doing?
Not bad. Final. I'm happy.
Yeah, very happy.
Watch tomorrow.
We should be happy. It's a game, as I said, I was talked about in the preview show with Mike. We was like discussing it could be a tight game. And to be fair, it was tight up to the point where obviously didn't get that second goal quick enough for me. But once that second goal went in, there was only going to be one winner. Glad we got out of there with what looked like minimal injuries, although that injury to Højbjerg looked a bit nasty. But yeah, what do you think of the performance? I'll come to you first, Mike.
We did what we needed to do. I'm not going to concentrate or mention any negatives. I'm just going to focus on the positives. We got the job done. Mourinho's been sort of he's been insistent that there's two games to be played to win the final, to win the cup, and we're one down. So I thought we played quite well. There was no, as I say, the back four was solid. As I say, I'm going to keep it quite short and sweet. I'm happy. We're in the final. What more do I need to say, really?
That's very true. That's true. We are in the final. You know me, I'm a little bit more critical of the team, or always try and look for things which can be improved. The starting lineup, I was happy enough with the starting lineup, although I've always mentioned about Sanchez. I always get a bit nervous seeing him in the back line, particularly when he's with Dyer, because when he seems to play with Dyer, I'm not sure we get the best out of Dyer when Sanchez is next to him. Saying that, though, it's probably his best game I've seen him play for a little while.
Yeah.
He had a bit of a shaky moment, but he's a sort of player, once he's 2-0 up and you're comfortable, he seems to be more comfortable. It's when he's under pressure. And like I was saying to Darius earlier, had it been 1-0 and we were going into the 85th minute, it might have been a little bit more different for us. But I'll come to you, Darius. Did you think that was a game well deserved?
Like, if I'm to be honest with myself, the performance I actually don't think was great. I think our passing accuracy, if we look at the stats, if I was to look at the stats after the game tomorrow, whatever, I think the passing accuracy is going to be quite poor. Because I noticed every single time we got into the final third, it seems like we weren't making the right passes. But saying all that, who actually cares? Like, who actually cares how we performed? I couldn't care less how we performed. We didn't play well, but I couldn't care less. We're in the final now, and this is. I don't want to be disrespectful. Obviously, you have to look at every single game as it comes, but this next game now is the proper game now. This is the game where I have to look at it and think, okay, what are we going to do different, and what are we going to do the same? That's gonna be able to make me feel confident enough to say that we could go in and get a result quite easily against the team. I know it's going to be a difficult challenge, Man U and City, but there's ways that Tottenham can play against both of those teams that can stifle their benefit, that can stifle their strengths and also bolster ours. So I think, we've job done, happy, but we need to go into April, that final, with the mindset of we can actually do this. We've beaten both these teams this season, and we've comfortably beaten one of them. And I know there was a bit of a freak result, but I definitely think that we're on for it. We definitely are on for it. And I think that Spurs, we should be thinking we can win this. We should definitely be thinking we can win this without a shadow of a doubt.
100% agree with that. The only thing I would say to that is, if the final was next month or certainly in a few weeks' time, form wise, we could probably have a little bit more saying, who's playing well now. But because it's in April, a lot can happen between now and April. There's injuries that could happen, players off for whatever it would be. So we don't know what the league is going to be saying then. We don't know who's still going to be involved in Europe, etc., etc. So we've got time to assess how things are. But if you're going to ask me now, would I rather take United or City? We'll probably come to that in a bit. But it really does depend on the sort of how we go into it come April. So Nigel, I'll come to you. Obviously, you enjoyed the result. What was the points from the game that you took away that was really positive? Really positive.
All right. So, I mean, there's a couple of things that I noticed. First of all, we spoke about how we didn't kind of like the fact that we were so willing to sit back against every team, and we've been showing a lot of respect. But I like the fact that in the last 2 games, we've been willing to kind of take the risk and say, break our press. And we set really good traps in the midfield. And it seems like everyone's really well drilled. And our midfield was just really aggressive. You had Sissoko, you had Ndombele in there fighting. You had Winks even there winning balls. He won another ball for last game to get us that penalty. So I really like how we've been back pushing higher up the pitch, setting traps and kind of betting on ourselves to win the ball. And I think that second goal came from pushing up and winning the ball in a really good area. So that's a promising sign of how we can be more adaptable against these smaller teams instead of those boring games when we sit back. And another thing that I really enjoyed is kind of, I felt like we showed a really, you know, that clip that always goes around where Mourinho's saying you need to be intelligent. Like, I feel like we really show that, like at points where Reguilon's willing to go in and just clatter you to stop the counter, or the passes played to Kane. He's not even interested. He knows the guy's on a yellow.
Yeah,
and
I saw that. Yeah,
surrounding the ref, or just a lot of little things that I thought, you know what, this team kind of, the strikers, the way Kane and Son are in the box winning free kick. Like, I love the identity that was shown by the team. So overall, I took quite a few positives from that.
Yeah, and those are the small details. One of the small details that I noticed, if you remember in the first half, there was that block and it was from Son. Son threw himself at that ball. And I've not really
I thought that was Reguilon when I first saw that.
That's what I thought as well.
I thought that was
I've
Reguilon.
not really seen Son do that, which is a mind change. That's a mind set for a player now who knows, right, I want to win and I'm going to do everything I can. I know I can score at the other end, but to stop a goal is just as important now. The other thing that was very much of a little bit of a detail was at times Sissoko was playing a lot higher. Obviously, he got the goal from being in the box, and I'm not seeing him in the box a lot recently. Certainly not in the 6-yard box. And that, in that sense, then we had Ndombele dropping back slightly. So that was another thing. So Ndombele would drop back. He could pick up the ball in that sort of like number 4 position alongside Højbjerg, but then they would transition that by having the swap between him and Sissoko, which meant they was confused about who to pick up. And because of that, and because they're both athletic players in terms of Ndombele and Sissoko, very, very hard to mark. If a player's just standing around, they're easy to kind of pick up. When you're on the move like they were doing, it's more difficult. There are still things that I've seen, you know, giving the ball away a little bit too much in the final third, not finding that right ball. But all that being said, when we've got ahead in the game, I always felt we were always going to maintain that. I just want us to push on for that second goal. You know, that's the one area where I think we could do that. So I don't know in terms of where you thought, how you thought, where do you think the game was won, Darius? What was the difference in the two teams?
Quality. I think we're systems are only effective. Well, they're more effective when you have quality players in the systems, because you can have a good system and you can have average players working in that system, and that system may find exploits with other teams. But at the end of the day, if a team is just better than another team in terms of the quality of their players, if Brentford had a striker in the same quality as Harry Kane, they probably would have taken a couple of the chances they had. So I just think in terms of the actual match and how the match goes, you can set up and we can discuss all the different things that Tottenham do, and Ndombele drop back a little bit more, Sissoko played forward. But I think at the end of the day, I think quality just shone through, and it's not going to be the same in the final because quality is going to be on the same level. But regardless, like Nigel said, like you said, there's been little things in the game that aren't necessarily to do with actually playing football, but it's just, you know what I mean? It's gamesmanship. It's doing things that if you did that in the final, I would probably clap and be more happy about that than seeing somebody, you know what I mean, shield a ball out of play or something like that. I think doing stuff like what Reguilon did, stopping a counter attack. If you're 1-0 down or 1-0 up in a final, you've got to stop a counter. That could be the difference between you winning the trophy and you not. So I think looking at those little nuances in the game and seeing us actually do that, I think that was a difference. And also, not in this game, it was a difference, but that will be the difference in the final. I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is doing those things that we've seen our players do now. And it seems like it comes subconsciously. It seems like a second nature thing now.
We're much smarter now as well, aren't we?
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. We're a lot smarter. Like Nigel said, Jose said, we're intelligent. You know what? Like we play the game we play the game now. We're smart.
We're probably naive. If you said before Mourinho came in, off the ball, we were probably a bit too nice and a bit too naive.
Probably help a player up if he got injured or kick a ball out. Yeah,
stuff like that. Whereas now we're almost we're the aggressiveness is there, but we're just that bit smarter now. Like off the ball, we're not afraid to give away a free kick if it means for the good of the team. Things like that, which we probably wouldn't have done in Pochettino's time.
I feel like they look forward to taking the fouls. I see them to go get it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes necessary ones just because they want to so much. Like there's
second
in
nature.
there now.
Oh, you can see that, and like you say, you can see that they've got that. They've been told. They've had these team meetings. They've been told, right, you have to play like this. And people can say what they like about, is it gamesmanship? Is it being a little bit? It's not. It's all part of the game. Like when that guy went past, I can't remember the attacker from Brentford. He went past Sanchez, and Sanchez had 2 goes at him. He had one go just outside the box. He had one go outside the box, and then he had another tap at him inside the box. Now, if the player had gone down, it was a penalty all day long. We said that, but he didn't. And they don't give you that. So those are the things where people say, oh, well, he's good for staying on his feet. No, he's not. If he'd have gone down, he'd got a penalty, and that would have been a whole different game.
But that's probably the difference between the Premier League and the Championship. The Championship, they're probably a little bit more they're probably more inclined to stay on their feet to try and get that shot away. Whereas in the Premier League, they're thinking, if I go down in the box, it is probably 9 times out of 10 going to be a penalty. It's probably just that difference in mentality, which if Brentford do go up into the Premier League, they're going to have to learn that in order to survive.
Well, when I see decisions, if you look at the VAR decision, I know we can talk about VAR for ages, but for me, I disagreed with the decision, regardless if it was right or wrong. I disagreed with the decision that went against Brentford today for their goal disallowed. I think if you're looking at minute details, and when they zoomed in that camera, I was just looking at pixels. I couldn't tell what was what. And I didn't know if that was offside or not. And like I said, Brentford lost. They didn't lose because of that, but they didn't get their goal back. And that could have pushed them on to score another goal. And when you have things like that happening in the game and little things that you can't really help are going against you like that, you kind of need to kind of turn that look in your favor a little bit. You kind of need to control the game. If you're not controlling the game with the ball, you kind of need to control the game other ways. So that's how Jose controls the game by slowing the pace down, by stopping you from constantly attacking him if that happens. So I think that's probably the main positive that I take out of it is the smartness that we are displaying as a team now and just getting through games differently.
Look, we've had some really heartbreaking semi-finals where I think we've played brilliantly, and the one against Chelsea where Matis just scores
the worldie
always sticks in my head because there's games we've played so well. And you just come out of it and you think, unfortunate. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I know it's Brentford, not Chelsea, but I mean, it's a good sign of where we've come and kind of that mentality that kind of can lead to something that Jose is kind of bringing. So I'm happy to see that.
Look, Brentford are a decent team. They're a decent team. They've always had, well, in the last few years, they've had some decent players that have come from them. You know, the Ollie Watkins,
Mope came from them.
Mope came from them. It looks like that Ivan Toney could probably play at a high level. The De Silva, the guy from, as I said, he was ex-Arsenal. He looks like he can play at a high level. There's 1 or 2 players there that have got Premiership quality. And if they came up, I think they'd probably give a good account of themselves. But at the end of the day, there is a difference between Premiership and Championship. That's why, you know, it's very difficult to get out and to stay in the Premiership once you get up there because of that reason. There is a golfing class, and there's also ways of playing, so they might have to have different ways of playing. I'm just looking at some of the stats here. So the possession wise, 54% to us, 46 to them, 12 shots, 11 to them, 5 on target, 3 on target for them, 3 corners, 2 corners, 14 fouls, 11. So you can see that they're relatively close in terms of all those kind of like stats, but the key moments, the key elements were always going to be with Spurs. You know, we got into those dangerous areas and we were clinical with them. So I'm just going to come to you, Nigel, on that. Was you happy with the starting 11 that Jose put out?
It was very strong, to be fair. I thought, you know what, I don't blame him. I mean, you've got Kane, you've got Son, you've got Lucas, which I was fine with. Am I fine with Lucas, actually?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Given the circumstances.
I don't know about that one.
I'm not sure about that one, Nigel. You can have that one yourself. Lucas, for me, is like, yeah, whatever. Go on, I'll let you finish.
Two questions that I had, but other than that, I mean, I was pretty happy with it. You can debate Winks and Sissoko, but I mean, when you see how it worked out in the end and our regression, you kind of understand it.
Yeah,
I'm glad we were strong on that front.
Mike, I know you you got a little bit to say about Sissoko. What's your thoughts on Sissoko? I'd like to hear this.
See, I don't want to slate him because at the end of the day, we got the 2-0 win. But when I saw his name on the team sheet, I was a bit like, oh, fucking hell. He's just not at the level. When you say about Sanchez, Sissoko is on that level of he's just not good enough. He can't run with the ball. He can't pass. I mean, he can head the ball, and he shut me up after I can't remember how many minutes in when we got the first goal when he headed it in. I was like, okay, I might keep quiet, but he's not a starting 11 for us. And going on to what you just asked, Nigel, I think the formation and the lineup was strong, and you could see there was an attacking intent there, and the players he used, and that's probably why he did go with Sissoko, because he probably presses the play more than what Winks would. And it was pleasing to see. I thought Aurier came in and he had another good game. Solid. I think it was a game that he probably enjoyed quite a bit because he actually got to go forward probably more than what he has done in the last few games that he's played. So there wasn't really any performances that I thought were particularly bad. I thought more when he, as I say, I know he probably wouldn't be in our first 11. He probably might not even be on our subs bench at times, but I didn't think he had a bad game, to be fair to him, and he pressed the play well. Yeah, I know he's questionable, but
really and truly, who cares? Like, who cares? We're in a final now.
This is the thing, and who cares? Like, I mean, we got the performance, we got the win. We're in the final, which is the first time in 6 years domestically.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. So Jose did.
And it's not a clean sheet.
He put out a strong team. Obviously, I don't think it was our strongest team, but what he did do was he gave some players a chance to kind of prove themselves on a stage where there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot at stake. Jose's made sure that he knows players know this is a lot at stake. He said this is his most important game since he's been there. So the pressure's always on. If Jose, the manager's saying that, the pressures have got to think, well, if the manager's saying that, we must have to take that into consideration. So the likes of Sanchez starting, the likes of Moura starting, the likes of Sissoko starting, all players that I think not so sure about. They've proved at least their worth in the sense that they've got through a semi-final. There's been no horrendous mistakes that we can kind of do that to and think, oh, shit, what's happened here? And we've got through with a clean sheet. There are obviously better players, I think, that could come into the starting 11. And I like Bergwijn. I've liked him a lot for the last few games he's played. He just needs to get some goals in him now. And that would really be something to add to his game. But if we could have a more athletic Winks in midfield, someone who can control the game with his passing, but could also get box to box, I think we would have the makings of a really, really good setup there. Probably a centre back as well. But as I said, we've got Ndombele, who's now really coming to the fore. You just can't get the ball off him. You know,
his footwork is absolutely ridiculous. He's a beast, isn't he? Ridiculous. And
got a couple of comments. I'll just read these out and then we can go on. So Adam Morris, hi guys, didn't watch the game. Hearing a lot of Brentford fans groups about offside decision. Well, it was close, and I think we touched on it earlier, that close, and you can't quite see whose foot was where or whose knee was where. I think you should be giving that to the attackers personally. And deluded Arsenal fan, not sure who's trying to come on incognito, where the trophy's at. Well, we'll see come April where the trophy's at, Mr. Deluded Arsenal fan. Yeah, we're going to have this anyway. But like I said, we're in the final. Go on, Mike.
I was just going to ask a quick question. Why do you think Toby didn't play today?
Let you lot answer that. I'll let one of them two answer.
Do you think that Toby didn't play today because he's thinking that he wants an experienced centre-back for the Marine game? Or do you think... I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't have played Toby today, because I thought he would have played him in a big game like this. And
and that's what I was saying. I was saying it would have been that. But go on, Nige.
He recently got injured, didn't he?
I'm not sure.
He played the last game, didn't he?
Yeah, he played the last game. He recently got injured. Like after that Belgium game, he came right back, got injured. So I can imagine Mourinho doesn't want to rely on him too much in midweek games. How old is he now? Like 32,
33, yeah.
32. He got a hamstring problem recently. I can imagine he just. I think he, for some reason, I think he trusts Sanchez.
Oh God.
So
someone's got to. Whoa,
I wouldn't trust him if I was falling back and he was catching me. But honestly, it's the same the same feeling you have towards Sissoko. And I know he had a good game, but like, even it's something as small as, and it's one mistake that if Mbeumo had gone down when Sanchez had committed that foul, because it was a foul, he made contact. It's 1-1, and it's a completely different game. And it's like. You can have a worldy game for 89 minutes, but if you go and do that in one of the minutes and you've cost us a semi-final, it's unforgivable in my opinion. It's unforgivable, and that's why it's like he was still doing that. And it just scares me. He just scares me.
There was that cross today where it's come in, and for some reason, instead of heading the ball, he kind of defended it like this and then turned around.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, why didn't you go?
My heart starts racing. It's like I should not be. A centre back should not make me feel like that. And it's like if he does that, he does it every game. And it's like I'm not gonna say anything on it. I'm just gonna wait until something really, really bad happens, and Jose will just have to just drop him and he will not play him again.
To be fair to say, and I'm gonna give him a little bit of to be fair on this one. In the incident where he was going out to that player on that left hand side, Dyer was out of position because Sanchez was the right-hand sided centre-back, so he shouldn't have even been in that position anyway. The fact he was, though, you don't have to make a tackle. I keep saying this. Players don't have to make tackles to stop plays. You just got to... He's got enough pace. Stay with the player. Once he commits and doesn't get the player and take him out, and the player's gone. The thing is, he then went past him, and he had another dig at him in the penalty box. And if the player had gone down,
contact.
It was a penalty. And these are the things where I can't. When he's done it before, it's not like the first time or the second or the third. I've seen him do this numerous occasions. I've given him enough chances. So for me, Sanchez has to be see you later. But let's not go too deep on those players. We are in the final. We've won. I say comfortably. We've done it. It looks comfortable on paper, 2-0. The big question now is, given the game tomorrow. I'll start with Mike on this one, and then I'll come round. United or City? Which one?
Do you know what? Following on from what we said the other day on the preview, I've changed my mind on Man City. I'd rather go Man United because on paper,
100.
Man United's defence is just... you get all these Man United fans, and there's probably a few watching now. They're second in the league, but they've been fortunate in quite a lot of games. They've gone behind. And they've managed to come back and get the wins or get points on the board, whatever. But their defence is prone to conceding. Whereas our defence against the likes of Rashford, Marshall, and whoever it is, I can't think of the other person who it would be as the third striker or the third attacker. Their strike force doesn't worry me as much as what Man City's would.
You think?
Yeah, I think Man City's strike force is more potent.
Okay.
I know Man City have missed a few players, etc. But you just know Man City, even if they've got a few injuries, they're still going to put out a tough team. And in the final, you'd find it hard not to back them in the final. Whereas Man United with Ollie, who's tactically naive, I don't care what anyone says, the bloke's tactically naive. I think would get more joy out of United than we would do Man City.
Fair enough. I'll come to you, Nigel. Then United or City for you? Which one would you want?
I missed the preview, but I'd be very, very interested to hear what Mike was thinking when he said he wanted City over Man United, because I think it's an absolute no-brainer. Because we can see Man United are so up and down over the last the whole period that Ole's been there. And I mean, they can look good on paper right now, which might carry them through over City, but come time for the final, you don't know what you're getting with Man United. They're just such an unproven entity. Whereas Man City, you know, at the very least, you're getting an 8 out of 10 team. We managed to beat them 2-0 this season, was it? But at the same time, we slapped Man United like 5-1. So
6. I like the other goal. 6-1.
6-1. It's a no-brainer. I'm taking Man United 100 times.
Right then, Darius, what's your thoughts?
I'm the same. I'm Man United, but I just want to make a point on what Mike was saying. I actually agree. I think with Man City, I think the reason why I don't want Man City to play against us in the final is because Man City, regardless who they put out, with their system, the quality of chances they create is so high, and with the players that they've got, I feel like there's a much better chance of them scoring a goal from the chances that they create than Manchester United. Manchester United seem to, when they create chances, they seem to take their chances. I think they've got a very good, very clinical team, a very proven finishing wise team. Greenwood is a great finisher. Rashford can finish, Cavani can finish, and Bruno can finish as well. So I think they don't create as many chances, but they've got good enough players to take those chances. Kind of similar to us. We don't create too many chances when we don't want to, but with City will create 20 chances and 10, 12 of them will be chances that you think they could score from. And that's why I think in a final, you never know what could happen. They might just score 1 or 2 of them and it might just be the end of it.
And with that, Darius, as well, it's funny because not one of us has mentioned Martial being or seeing Martial as a threat.
No. I'm not bothered about
Greenwood, Rashford, but no one's bothered about Martial. And on that basis, I think that's why we'd all take Man United, because if he's got Martial up front,
it's true. And the thing is, like you said, City didn't even have a striker against Chelsea. And this is Chelsea. We couldn't score past Chelsea. Chelsea have a decent defense, like an actual good defense, I think. Yeah. And if City can make Thiago Silva and Edouard Mendy look pretty average, in my opinion, I think people are underestimating how much they dominated Chelsea. I think, if they can do that without Jesus or Aguero, their shape was just all over the place, and they still managed to create so many chances. So I would rather take my chances against Manchester United than take my chances against City, because we're not going to dominate the game, are we?
Okay.
When I look at City squad, I actually think Pep overachieves.
Do
you reckon?
I reckon he overachieves.
Wow.
In what aspect of it?
That's interesting.
That's a bold statement there, Nige. You better back that up. You better come with something on this.
Apart from Kevin De Bruyne, right? Like their squad isn't that many levels above many other teams. Like Kevin De Bruyne is the only player who you can say, "Oh, we've got no one who compares to that."
But Sterling, what about Sterling?
I agree. I don't think Sterling. Nah.
What?
Like you've got other teams who have a Sterling caliber player.
But with City, it's the depth of City. So City, when you look at the drop off between Liverpool, even Liverpool's second team. I know it's getting better now, Liverpool's second team significantly. But if you look at the drop off between the top 6 second team, Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, the drop off is significant. With City, they replace players with players of equal quality.
Right, but say you're starting 11, so you've got the centre backs, they switch quite a lot. I mean, you've got John Stones, who they were
Diaz now.
Your left backs, Cancelo is just coming into form, kind of, but even then, watching him at Juve, I wasn't that sold on him. You've got Rodri and CDM, who's just a very, very decent player. Mahrez hasn't been Leicester Mahrez for a while. Like it's not that, like we take for granted how great that squad is, but a lot of it is system and Kevin De Bruyne,
Gundogan, Bernardo Silva,
Gundogan, Bernardo, all right.
Jesus. I'll let you lot talk that. I'm not even going to get, because there's going to be people on there saying, "What's going on here?" I'm not quite as brave as you, man. I ain't talking dirt on City like you lot, man. Wow. That's another show. We'll have to do that. I'm going to just try and say my bit on that. So initially, I did say I'd rather play City, but hear me out. The first thing was about Jose and Guardiola, Jose having a bit of his number, all the rest of it from back in the day, and maybe the mind sort of games. But then I thought about it, and then I thought, oh no, City, they've won this, 3 times? Is it 3 times in a row they've won a League Cup? Or definitely twice. And Guardiola likes his trophy as well. And they've got a better squad than probably most. I thought about it and I thought quickly changed my mind. I'd rather play United. One, Ollie at the wheel, and that's all I have to say. Ollie at the wheel, final. Jose will get in his head, and I'm pretty confident that if he's United, he will find a way to beat Ollie. Not the players on the pitch, but he'll find a way to beat Ollie. So that's the only reason I changed my mind. But the way you lot are just throwing dirt on City, I'm not.
I don't know.
Sure.
I think City are at the end of their cycle of their team. I know. I see where Nigel's coming from. I think on paper the players look better than they are, but I do believe that they're still, regardless of if they're in their prime or not, if they're not playing as well as they have, they've got Pep as their manager and they have a system where they're able to create chances. So if you're able to create quality chances with quality players, the stats are going to look better than it is. They're going to look better than they are. And I think City are good. They're getting better now. The defense is good. If they get a striker in, they're going to be back to where they were 2-3 years ago.
All I will say is, City fans, if you're watching, it's them two down there, not me.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the smoke. I'm ready for it.
I'm not throwing shade on you lot like that. Well, anyway, gentlemen, we have now got ourselves into a final. This is Jose's first full season, the first trophy available. We are in the final of that competition. It can only be good things for the rest of the season. I'm hoping now that this gives the players confidence and also gives them belief that the actual methods that are being employed can work. There are some tweaks to make us a little bit more of an attacking threat, and I think that can happen, and I think that we've got the players there to do that. I'm still kind of on the edge about, is Delhi part of these plans? Is he not part of the plans? Because I would love to see him play. I just think a game like today, I think he would have been ideal for us as well, to maybe come on for Ndombele and maybe give us something else in that sort of bit of magic. But he's out of favour at the moment. Vinicius, another one, is not getting an opportunity, not really getting a chance to play it in this team. Obviously, Rodon was cup tied, but I would like to see him get a chance in the next few weeks to see if we get an injury. This is the problem. Get injuries in key areas. If we left Højbjerg now, we are effed. So I don't want to see.
Let's not even put that into the atmosphere.
And that's what I'm saying. When that challenge went in today, and I saw that, I was like, "This is what I did." I was like, "Oh, good me."
Got the most appearances this season. He's played the most games this season.
The guy got up like a soldier. So we need to be protecting these type of players. But as I said, we're into the final. All you Arsenal fans out there, if you're watching as well, we haven't won it yet, but we're in the final and you're not. So all I would say to that is thank you guys very much for being on here. Look forward to the weekend's games. Obviously, when we've got Marine away, I think they're 8th tier or something like that. So it's the biggest difference between any two teams in the FA Cup, something like that, someone said. But yeah, I think we can't be any more pleased. We're into the final. 2-0 against Brentford. So thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment. As always, we'll be doing a preview show in the next, I think it'll be Saturday, and then we'll do the post-match review show for the Marine game on Sunday. Thank you, gentlemen. Mike, Darius, Nigel, see you again soon. And thank you all for watching FTB Sports. Take care.
Cheers, mate.